Hello everyone, I'm Ferdi Salvador. Join us in unlocking the tricks of the trade here on Trade Talks. Let's get down to business. The country's wine drinking community continues to grow, so it's just right to introduce a relatively new brand and way of wine that has a Filipino touch. Hearts and Vines wants to make the world of wine accessible to all Filipinos by crafting high quality but at the same time affordable wine. Joining us this morning is Justin Pitt. He is the founder of Hearts and Vines. Good morning, Justin. Thank you so much for being on Trade Talks this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be with you.
Yes, I'm interested in this topic because I'm what you would perhaps call a wino, right?
A wino?
A wino. But let's put you in perspective.
Sure.
Before this kind of business, what were you up to?
Well, I had a long-standing hospitality career. I was always passionate about food and wine growing up in South Australia in particular. And that translated across to starting to work in restaurants and bars. And then I thought I could forge out a career in hospitality. So I went to a Swiss hotel management school and then studied there and then started into international hotels proper. This was about 25 years ago. And that 20-year career led me 6, 7 different countries, hotels right across the world.
And here in the Philippines, I'm sure?
No, I've never worked in the Philippines in a hotel.
Never?
I did a lot of consulting here. Yeah, so a lot of consulting for existing brands or developments and things like that. But no, I never had the pleasure of running a hotel here. But I was GM in the Middle East, in Abu Dhabi, in China, and then also in Cambodia.
So what brought you to the Philippines?
Love, my friend. Yeah.
Love of country?
Well, both. Why do we say that? Yeah. No, as you know, my beautiful wife is a proud Filipino. I actually met her when I was running a hotel in the Middle East. And then we started a long-term relationship, a long-distance relationship that led us through, obviously, the Middle East, then when I was working in China, and then I was working in Cambodia. And then I kind of pulled the pin and decided that I was going to commit either to, I joked and said to Crystal, I said, I can only be married to one lady. Either it's my hotel or it's my wife.
Right.
So that's when I decided.
So you got married to the human.
I did.
You made a commitment to the human
yes,
life.
Yes, a little bit more rewarding in a lot of senses. And that's when I decided to come to the Philippines proper, which was in 2016. And that's when I started consulting in hospitality also. And then we had a good run with that. And then obviously the pandemic hit and a lot of that business understandably went away. And then during that time, we took the family to Australia. And it was at that time where Hearts and Vines was actually conceptualized and born.
This is interesting because I wanted to set up our conversation because obviously, the beverage industry in the Philippines is actually rising in certain circles or certain segments. Of course, now we've got the privilege and the opportunity to delve into more expensive, rare wines, which was not available in, let's say, 15 or 20 years ago, and then down to the super affordable, which sometimes does not, agree with the palate.
Not always great. Yeah.
Yes, and then you've got the middle version, the middle line here, which is growing very fast, right?
Indeed.
Yeah. So when you moved here to the Philippines, and as you said, when you had the epiphany of putting together your wine business, what did you see was lacking in the Philippine F&B?
In the market?
The market, yes.
Yeah, sure. Great question. I think it was really born out of our time in Australia. That's where the first inkling of the idea came from. So during the pandemic, I took Crystal and our young children to Adelaide, where I'm from, in South Australia. Now that's regarded as wine country, so Barossa Valley, McLaren Vale, Eden Valley.
It's in your veins, literally.
It's literally in my veins. When I was a kid, I used to run up and down the vines because we lived nearby some vineyards. So, but during that time, it started two main things. First, Crystal wasn't much of a wine drinker because she had some bad experiences. She had some of those cheaper wines that weren't great, or she had some expensive ones that were a little bit too complex and a little bit too difficult to understand. So I started to get her involved in some of the lighter styles, some of the fruitier styles, some of the sweeter styles.
Which is a very Filipino flavor.
It's a very Filipino flavor, and then she started slowly by slowly to sort of fall in love with these styles of wines and the wine culture that was in Adelaide and in South Australia, because it's such part of the fabric of how I grew up. And then Crystal, being the entrepreneur and marketer she's like, we can sell this. If we bring this quality of wine at this price point to the Philippines, we've got a chance of having some success. So that's where it kind of came from. And then back to your point, I think in the Filipino market, you're quite right. There's this growing appreciation for not only for wine, but wines that are of a slightly better quality. Everyone wants to drink a wine that sort of matches their palate, what they like, matches their food, and is going back to the Filipino palate, that little bit sweeter, a little bit friendlier,
because that's
easy to drink.
That's a great point, Justin, because Filipinos don't necessarily or even think about pairing our cuisine with wine.
Not yet. So that's some of the work that we're doing. So first I looked when we were in Australia, like what are some of the wines I could bring back that were existing? And there really wasn't anything that had a full range of wines that were really going to fit the Filipino palate and fit Filipino food and fit the way you guys like to celebrate, where you like to celebrate. The elements of the Filipino lifestyle, which could really match with the wines. So it led me to think that why don't I, with the contacts I have in South Australia with growers and winemakers, why don't we make our own brand? And then we went completely down that rabbit hole of creating our very own brand, which then gave us the freedom to make a range of wines that are specifically for the Philippines, specifically for Filipino people. Your likes, your celebrations, your lifestyles. And that led us to this baby, which is Hearts and Vines. So the wines have been crafted specifically with the Philippines in mind, right across the range. So we're quite proud of that. And that's, I think, in many ways, looking at the Filipino market, and as you mentioned, what did we see where the gap was? It's exactly that.
Yes. Let's go back to Filipino cuisine and pairing.
Yes.
Right? Because if you get like an expensive, bottle of wine from the old world, as they said, France, Spain, Italy, Portugal, sometimes those flavors don't match with our flavors because, for example, you have a sinigang, right?
Yes.
Which is very sour.
Yes.
And you mix it with a Bordeaux. They clash, right?
Not a great match. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Possibly a Chablis, yes, with that
Potentially,
bit.
yeah.
Yes. So how would you help a beginner who doesn't know anything about wine but does not want to invest in classes or buy the whole gamut from A to Z?
Sure.
Pair or start their wine experience or wine journey.
Well, jump on Hearts and Vines Instagram.
Yeah, because that's on your website. That's why I asked. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So we're doing a great series now. We just started called Dare to Pair. So that's on our Instagram account, and we go and visit our friends and restaurant owners and chefs, and we bring a bottle of this wine, which is specifically made for the Philippines, and then we have a discussion and we dare them to pair with some typical Filipino cuisine or food that Filipinos love. It might be a pizza or it might be a burger. And then we talk about the wine and why it matches and the food elements. So in the sense of, I guess, those old world wines, a lot of them are made to be representative of the style that comes from that region. So I come from Bordeaux, I must be big, I must be bold, I must be tannic, and I must be able to sell it for 15 years.
Yeah, definitely because of the cuisine. I mean, they're robust cuisines, very heavy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Slow cook movement. But in 3 easy, basic steps, how would you tell somebody or advise somebody to start their wine journey?
Well, it's an excellent way of framing it. One of the things we did with Hearts and Vines, because it is a new brand, we tried to make it very, very easy to understand what was in the bottle, to translate the label. Going back to Bordeaux, a lot of it's written in French. A lot of the elements you don't understand, you don't know the grape variety. So with our wine, it's very clear. It tells you what's in the bottle. So for our red, for example, which is a Shiraz, it says warm, ripe red. You flip it around on the back, it tells you it's got red cherries, some strawberry flavors, and then a little bit of spice. So that's that first element of understanding the wine that you want to buy. and understanding the flavors that might be in it. So for our wine, very clear on the front, tells you what's in the bottle.
That's interesting, Justin, because as a Filipino, if you know, but of course, you know, I've got a little bit more experience with wine.
Sure.
Filipinos don't necessarily grasp those notes, the cherries,
Sure.
the berries, because it's
Yes.
not endemic in our country.
No, good point. Very good point.
Yeah. So how do you translate that?
I think it's that very bold and simplified message that you have on the front of the label. So for our white wine, luscious, fruity white. Very clear, no? Luscious, full of flavor. It's fruity, doesn't specify which fruit, and it's a white wine. Super simple, super easy to understand, super easy to interact with. And then we have a great pink Moscato, which is berry and bright Moscato. Very simple
Very
words.
sweet, yeah.
Yeah, no, a beautiful sweet Moscato. It's actually our #1 wine, so it's doing fantastically well. So
It's
we're
a
quite proud of
Filipino
it.
thing, sweet.
Yes, yeah.
We like everything sweet and savory, or salty and acidic. So.
Yeah, no, you like all the elements of cuisine, but maximized. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like everything. So lots of flavor, lots and lots of flavor. But going back to your point, once you have an understanding of what's in the bottle, then you can think about what is the food that I'm going to eat.
Right.
And then think about in your head, so if I'm going to have a luscious and fruity white, would I eat that with the food that I plan to eat, like an adobo? Would I necessarily have a luscious and fruity wine or food with something that is...
With lechon.
There you go. So see, straight away in your head,
Yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, I would have something luscious and fruity when I was eating lechon because it's fatty and it's crispy and you need that wine to cut through. So I guess if you're a new wine drinker and you're looking at our wines, definitely have a look on the label at the front, gives you an idea of the flavors in the bottle, and then think, would I eat that with the food that I'm thinking of eating?
Right.
And if you have something very, very fatty, then that sort of acid in the wine helps you cut through that and cleans the palate a little bit. If you have something very, very earthy, like something more stewish, then something a bit sort of spicy or heavier, like a red wine, again will help you sort of clean the palate.
Let's stay in that topic, but before we delve back into the business of wine, we're going to take a short break. Please stay with us here at Trade Talks. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Trade Talks. We continue our intoxicating conversation with Justin Pitt. He is the founder of Hearts and Vines Wine. So, Justin, let's go back to the business of wine.
Sure.
Aside from, pairing and flavor profiling and stuff like that. What challenges have you encountered when bringing in the actual goods to the Philippines? Did you have any?
Not on this instance. We assessed when we were going to make the decision to create the brand. We formed some great partnerships in Australia with winemakers
Yes.
and growers. That was a key element. So we were very confident in the quality and the value that we had in the product. And then, as you suggested, obviously the logical next step was how we're going to bring it into the country efficiently, cost effectively.
And with quality, of course, because special handling.
And maintain the quality of the product.
Right.
Exactly right. So we looked initially of importing and managing that process ourselves. And just to qualify, this is a startup wine brand. It's basically Crystal and myself and one member of the social media team. That's all we have at this point. We're hoping to grow, but. So we looked at it, and the process is certainly clear, but at that stage, we were also looking at importers and distributors that might partner with. So we made the decision, because it is the first time we're bringing the product into the country and the need for quality assurance, to go with a partner that obviously is well established, had the right connections, and through their experience and the volume of wine they bring into the country, could virtually guarantee that process for us. Now it does dilute, obviously, our profit a little bit, because we have someone in the middle who's bringing the wines in and then helping us distribute it. But it then gives us access to prompt and efficient entry into the country, minimizes our costs in that front, But then also we get access to their distribution network, which also has great value.
This is a numbers gaming to say the volume and demand. Okay, but how do you maintain? Before I ask that question, where do you categorize your wine products? Is it in the lower end, mid? I won't say high because obviously it's not. So what part of that would you say that your Hearts and Vines is situated?
I very much see it. I mean, look, it's Australian grown, produced, bottled, and packaged wine. So it's a fully Australian product, right from the growing through the production and then through the importation. So that in itself gives it an air of quality. But because of the great connections and the contacts, and then some economic issues that happened obviously during the pandemic, which allowed for a lot of grapes to be available at a super price. It allowed us, to present a wine which I feel is very much middle quality.
Okay.
In middle of the market.
Means say middle price without telling us the price. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very much a wine that presents in terms of quality in the middle, but because of the things I mentioned before, in terms of economies of scale and in terms of those connections, we've been able to push the price down to below 500 pesos.
Okay.
So you're very much in that sort of first-time drinker, entry-level sort of price bracket with some other key players there. So I see it twofold. It's very much, the quality is very much in that sort of middle band of wines.
Right.
But we've made it outstandingly affordable.
Because of that price point, pardon me, Justin, you can then now do a lot of B2B situations for chain restaurants, for chain hotels. So this is an interesting business concept for me because your quality is there.
Yes.
And the price point is palatable.
Indeed.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's actually a perfect formula. Have you had any concerns or learnings because you're in the perfect, how should we say, you are in the perfect situation wherein you can play around with the price point and your distribution, right?
Sure.
Have you had any concerns being able to put that out there in the distribution channel that you created?
Not as yet. We did commit to the project, so in terms of the volume of stock we have in the country, it's quite high. But again, higher volumes allows you to drive a better price with your suppliers. So we certainly did that. So we're very much committed to it. So we certainly have great supply. Our distributor has been excellent. All provinces, all areas of the Philippines, they have access. We're partnering right now with SNR, which has been a great partner in terms of our retail presence. And we've been exclusive with them up to a certain period. But that's also allowed us to sort of test the market and decide, which markets, which distribution channels, and which avenues we feel puts our wine in the right place, in front of the right people.
Right.
And then once we move on from that sort of partnership with SNR, we're certainly going to, from our learnings, expand our reach, get into more doors,
right.
get into more people.
Without having to mention other distribution channels, do you agree wherein, of course, in the marketing part of this, value versus price versus quality comes into play, especially with a new product, right?
Definitely.
So how are you reshaping that? Okay, it's affordable,
yes,
but we've got quality wine in terms of marketing.
It's definitely a balance,
okay.
And you're right, it is very much a balance because there's that perception element of certain price points. Okay. So we're definitely leveraging what we're doing on social media and the events and the where we're positioning the wine to very much be a lifestyle brand. We want to make fun. We want to make wine fun. We want to make it approachable. We want to make it for every Filipino in every circumstance, whether it's a celebration or it might be a quiet dinner at home. Your wins, your losses, catch up with the barcadas. And that's that Australian element. It's very much woven into the fabric of Australian lifestyle is to have a glass of wine while you're doing all these things.
I love what you just said. Sorry, just to circumvent my question, but you made a very good point. Because wine for Filipinos can be intimidating.
Yes.
Right? In your culture, it's a daily occurrence.
Well, we grew up with it.
Yeah.
It's on your table when you have dinner, when you're growing up with your parents. So it's an everyday thing. But I also feel that in terms of developing that culture, that's That's where we need to present ourselves in those everyday moments, in those everyday occasions. And also it's about elevating those occasions for me. You know, if you sit down with your girlfriends and have a catch up, you know, with some cans of beer, or with a beautiful bottle of wine, straight away you elevate.
Or rosé.
Yeah, rosé, great. Straight away you elevate that
Yes.
experience, and the price is relatively comparable. So it's about elevating those experiences and making wine part of all those everyday occasions. And then, as you mentioned several times, making it less intimidating. And I think we've done that with the branding.
Right.
And I think we're doing that with our presentations across social media. And then encouraging people to try it. And then encouraging them, I'm sure they're going to like it. And then encouraging them to make it part of their lives.
Right. So do you think Hearts and Vines is more of a lifestyle brand or a cultural movement?
Can I say both?
You got to choose one. Who are you going to say when the ship is sinking?
I would say, at the moment, we're definitely a lifestyle brand, yeah. So, but I think, you know, as people get to know wine, they feel bold enough to try it because we are very friendly and approachable. Then I think it's going to be more part of their lifestyles. And then through that cultural movement will come up. I'll tell you a quick story. I lived in Thailand for 6 years, and I saw the movement through those, and it was at different time periods. And I saw, firstly, the coffee culture exploded. Very much this what's happening here in the Philippines. People want they want a customized experience. They want their own drink, their own way, in their own time, in a nice setting.
Right.
Right. And then very shortly after that, in Thailand, I saw wine followed, because people wanted a drink that fit their lifestyle, fit their palates, and they wanted that sort of elevated experience when it comes to, you know, buying something just for them.
Right.
So both Kristen and I are very excited about the future of wine in this country, and knowing that coffee has done what it's done, offering that tailor-made lifestyle experience. We're hoping and we're investing that wine certainly is going to be the next big boom in the country.
What's your advice to people that want to delve into alcoholic beverages and bringing their own passion brand to the Philippines?
Alcoholic beverages is hard. Just because there's big players.
Yes.
Big multinational players, big players. I think it goes back to any sort of entrepreneurial question. Is there a place for your product that you can own, you can really own? Is it value driven? Is it an innovative product? Do you offer better quality at a better price? Can you take a niche, or can you take a section of the market and really own it? And if you can answer those questions and with a yes, and then obviously do your homework, get a good business plan, make sure, you know, do some product testing in the market itself. We did extensive testing here. And if you have all those elements, you just need to obviously have to fuel all that with a real passion, because being an entrepreneur and certainly launching a brand like this in a market like the Philippines, there's lots of hard times, lots of challenging times, but you get through those with the passion for the product and the passion for the industry.
That's full of wisdom, Justin.
Thank you.
But last three questions very quickly. What is your worst investment?
I can't tell you because we're in court at the moment.
That just answers everything, doesn't it? Yeah.
No, we're literally in the courts in Australia, so I can't mention that. But then outside of that, it was impulse buys, impulse investments. I didn't do my homework. I didn't, you know, dot all the I's and cross all the T's, and then was really maniacal about.
Was that the Porsche?
details. I wish I had a
or the
Porsche.
big bike?
Might have been a motorcycle. Yeah.
What is your best investment?
I'm gonna be really corny and say my family.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, and your favorite mistake, Justin?
My favorite mistake to make regularly?
Or that you've made already?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that. My favorite mistake. I make mistakes when it comes to food. I'm a bit indulgent when it comes to food.
You overorder.
Yeah, overorder, and then I'm full, and then I see that thing on the dessert menu. I'm like, well, you know, why not?
We're here already, might as well, right?
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Justin, for letting
Thank
us
you for having me.
chat with you regarding your new passion project.
Ferdi, thank you for having me. It's been a treat.
Been a pleasure for me. And that is it for today's show. I'm Ferdi Salvador. Catch the Bilyonaryo News channel on Free TV Channel 31 and on cable via Cignal Channel 24. Thanks for watching the Bilyonaryo News channel. Always on top.